I listened to an interview with Bill Harmon. He was talking about the great ball strikers of the past, and some of them had very unorthodox swings, and how if they were coming up today, they might not make it if they got a hold of a teacher with used Trackman and tried to perfect their swing. And he called them the Symmetry Police because their swings weren't pretty, they weren't classic. Most of them took it inside, and so that reminded me that I hear a lot of symmetry police in putting too, where it's common you hear teachers who want to have you with a square stance, square knees, square hips, square shoulders, thumbs down the top, eyes right over the ball. And that's symmetrical and it sounds really good, but there are some vulnerabilities to this type of a setup. You know, if you're in this, you're very unstable actually in this all square setup. If I move my knees a little bit, you know, you can see that's going to change the face alignment. Move my hips, you got a long putt, that can move it. Move my shoulders, move my arms, and then move my wrists. And we've got really a lot of sources for motion here that can come into play, especially in a pressure situation where your vulnerabilities are going to show up. And in putting, you know, we've got two major things to worry about. We have our direction, and then we also have distance control. And those are two separate things. And when you're standing over a pressure putt on the back nine, you really can't be trying to think of maintaining this stable stroke that's got a lot of potential for motion here and deliver distance at the same time. You know, everybody's had the situation where you got a tough downhill left to right breaking putt, and you're so concerned about the line that you just forget about the distance. Or on any kind of a putt where you can leave it short or blow it past because you're so concerned about direction here and controlling your direction. The symmetrical thumbs down the top grip is really vulnerable because you have to use a certain amount of pressure in your grip to maintain that face angle there. But as soon as you increase the pressure, then you're robbing yourself of feel for distance. You know, if you're going to toss a ball, you don't hold it any harder than you need it to fall to the floor. So if you do that in putting, you know, you're going to be susceptible to first of all, center of gravity and torque in a putter. If you're not using a torque-free putter, you've got torque in your putter, so you're going to have to use some grip pressure there. But that doesn't address the motion in the shoulders. There's in a lot of kind of different types of grips. We've got the lead hand low, which does prevent flexion and extension, but it doesn't provide any radial stabilization. Even arm lock putting, where it makes it just feel very stable here, but you know, you've got motion in your knees and hips and shoulders that can throw that off. Some of the classic great putters, Paul Runyon, Jackie Burke, they turned their hands under, and this provides a lot of stabilization in the hands and in the arms. You know, you can really lock that down, but you've still got motion in the shoulders and then in the legs. And the other part about that type of grip is it puts if you're right hand dominant, put your hand in a very awkward position to feel like you're rolling a ball. You know, if you're going to roll a ball at the hole, you're not going to have your hand this way. You're going to have your hand facing the hole, so you have a better feel for distance control. So one way to stabilize your grip, and the other thing about these all these types of putting techniques is they require a lot of maintenance. You know, you've really got to put in some reps and make sure that you're sharp before you go out and play, because you have all these things that can go wrong, and so that requires a lot of maintenance. One way that you can improve on this is to use dynamic pre-shot alignment, which takes the slack out of the wrist, elbows, and shoulder joints and gives you a lot more stability. You know, if I have my thumbs down the top, you know, our range of motion is here. With dynamic alignment, where we stabilize the grip and we get a very stable setup position where my feet are open, not symmetrical. I've got a secondary spine angle here. My spine is tilted back. That's not symmetrical. But just, think of Jack Nicklaus's putting stroke. He was one of the best pressure putters ever. Open stroke, has all crouched down. His spine was bent back. And so with dynamic pre-shot alignment, just have a quick little pre-shot routine here, and then the club can swing very stably on an arc. And I'm just holding on with the last 3 fingers in my lead hand, and then my trail hand, my dominant hand, can just be completely relaxed for applying force and rolling that ball to the hole. So, and the other thing about this, about dynamic pre-shot alignment, since it gives you so much stability, here I'm going to get into my stance here, and then I'll just do an earthquake here and shake this around. You can see how the range of motion is just really reduced. And another benefit of this is that it's very low maintenance. You don't have to put in hours on the putting green trying to make certain that you're going to be sharp with your alignment, because your alignment is much more stable with dynamic alignment. So even after a long layoff, you can get your putting touch back very quickly with this. So there's just some things to think about if you're going to improve your putting.